Would you like to hear a ridiculous story of how I ended up wandering around for over an hour at 3 a.m. in the woods looking for foxes and badgers and any wildlife, and ended up going home with nothing but these two recordings of owls in the distance? Don't knock the camera, Gizmo.
At last, wildlife. Right on cue.
I also came home with another important lesson about never being sure who else might be out and about or what they might be up to at those sort of times of the day. So we'll get onto that as well, because I'm sure I interacted with more humans than I did wildlife. It's currently 2 in the morning and I'm about to leave my girlfriend's house because last night this happened.
Can you hear that scream sound?
I believe that's the sound of foxes, so I'm hopefully going to go and at the very least hear them active and maybe even catch a glimpse of one or two of them from the distance. I'm not going to disturb them in any way, but I'd like to confirm their location just so that I can come back with a night vision camera or some capability like that to record the goings on. I also, tonight, I'm going to loop around to where I know for a fact there are badgers active too. Now, I'm not going to give away the locations because I don't want anybody to go and disturb them, so please bear with me, and if you know where I am, please don't mention it in the comments. And so it was. I was absolutely confident as I set out and filled with anticipation at what I might get to see. And I was so confident because I'd seen a fox in this field at the start of January. Obviously, the prior night I literally heard mating calls of foxes and set out at exactly the same time that I'd heard them the previous night. So it was unfathomable to me that I would spend over an hour outside and see and hear basically nothing. And as you can see, I was talking away to the camera, I was filming dramatic red light shots and all the rest of it. Swap over to my red light for the next few minutes and turn this dazzling light off so that my night vision returns. Gonna get myself way out over by another entrance to this field and keep a watch and keep an ear out for any rustling, see what happens, and also get my phone recording just in case. Maybe a little bit of light just in case there's any reflective eyes maybe. Anyway, I'm trying not to look and dazzle myself and destroy my night vision too much here. And so it was. I got to the edge of the field, switched all of my lights off, and just slowly let my eyes adjust to the darkness. Now, you might be wondering, what's the point of doing this if I didn't have any proper night vision equipment? Well, these are 3-second exposure shots with my iPhone, so I can easily quickly take these in 3 seconds time, and with a little bit of editing you can see I can lighten up the image significantly, so although they're low quality and they're grainy, if there were foxes around I'd clearly be able to get evidence and judge what I was seeing and whereabouts, so that if I did get hold of some fancy night vision equipment I'd be able to come back and do some proper filming. So this moment here was where I was talking to the camera and just pointing out where I had previously had my little bit of a run-in with somebody who was out in the woods late at night. And we'll get to that proper story in just a second, but while I was doing so, I became convinced that I could see a small flashlight or a mobile phone light lighting up just some of the twigs and stuff in the distance. Now, I don't know if it's 100% that I had done. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. But after what had previously happened only a few nights before, I was taking no chances. So I took the long way around to go and look for the badgers, which of course was also a total washout.
Okay, so in just a second I'm going to go completely lights out, and if there is anybody who's seen me who may or may not be up to anything they should or shouldn't be, should hopefully disappear. Luckily I know there's few people who know this area like I do, but never take any chances. Absolutely not at this time of night. You just don't know.
So what is all this scary stuff about? Well, brace yourself. As you can see, I'm trying to catch up on some sleep after these ridiculous late nights and also get this video out the door. So About a week or so ago, I was in the woods and I recorded in the daytime a bit to camera talking about AI. So just a nice simple 2-camera video. And that's an area that I know previously somebody had created a shelter and maybe a little bit of a screen with sticks and stuff to potentially camouflage a campsite that they might have had. And I also had previously seen there was a kayak, an inflatable kayak, all wrapped up in a bag. So when I was there the other week doing my AI recording to camera, the kayak was actually all spread out and unfurled. And I thought, now that's either just some kids or vandals have randomly stumbled upon it and just chucked it about wondering what it is, or somebody is using it as a waterproof base for a bivvy bag or a tent or just a sleeping bag if they haven't got either of those. So that did make me think, I wonder. So anyway, didn't think anything of it. Then at some point I did a bit of a tongue-in-cheek video out there late at night where there's a rope swing and it had got all dog bites or teeth marks all over this stick on the rope swing. So I did a bit of a tongue-in-cheek, bit of fun video saying, oh, perhaps there's a big cat loose in the Wrexham area. And that was that. Didn't think anything of it. Lovely stuff. Anyway, fast forward to whenever it was since that filming was done. Me and Gizmo were not far away from that very spot, literally a couple of 100 feet at most. And I was trying to get some editing done or take a photo of whatever, and I heard a snap or a rustle sort of sound, and then a bird flew off, clearly a disturbed animal. So anyway, straight away, Gizmo looks up and is locked in, going, what's that? What is that? So then I equally then and put even more on edge that Gizmo's noticed it. And I shine my torch and there's nothing. No eyes looking back at me as you'd expect. As any animal, even if it's an animal that's fleeing from you, they'll often turn, like a rabbit will stop and turn and look at you, for example. And so as I'm there shining this torch in, I get what I'm sure is a little glimmer, a little shimmer of a reflection of maybe somebody's phone, a phone screen, a piece of glass, a piece of reflective clothing. It wasn't an individual light source, it was a reflection of my light back at me, I'm sure of that. And of course then I was in, uh-oh, that was not an animal. And so I then don't know really what to do, and I film this little bit now. So I'm basically there trying to say stuff and I'm talking out loud, trying to calm myself, I think, as a soothing sort of exercise. And then I look back to where the woods and the noise were, and I see that reflection a second time, and that really sort of sent the shivers through me. And I played this clip to some of my friends, and one of the first things they said was, that's a proper sound of terror in your voice. Because I thought, in this little audio you're about to hear now, I thought I was doing like a bit of a deep, gruff sort of voice to sound a bit more menacing. When I hear it back, it sounds, well, exactly like this.
Hello? You okay? You okay? It's all good.
From seeing the second reflection, it was about 30 seconds that I was shouting and I was just frozen. And then I sort of regained my senses and me and Gizmo just started to run directly away from it. And in the audio clip, you can hear me saying, oh, they won't be able to get over this stream as there'd been a bit of rain. And so the little stream that comes down that I was crossing was a little bit fuller, a little bit more swollen than it normally would be. And so me and Gizmo ran and ran and ran till we were well out of harm's way, and then switched all of the light sources off and continued a little bit further so that we had a chance to check, just on the off chance, unlikely though it would be, that somebody was following us. So then when I went back there looking for the foxes and the badgers and everything, that's why I was on such high alert. And when I went to see the badgers, I started to approach back to the area that I had seen the potentially the phone light or the little dim torchlight lighting up the trees and the twigs. And that was a field that I was crossing, and I started to record and just kept my phone recording just in case, just for evidence sake. And it was a 5 minute, 55 seconds, 55 microseconds recording, weirdly, all the fives. But that near 6-minute recording was me walking so terrified and so quiet and calm across a field that me and Gizmo normally run across in a matter of maybe, I don't know, 30 to 60 seconds, just running for the sake of running and a bit of exercise. And there I was in absolute darkness, crossing it at a snail's pace in a matter of minutes, and I still didn't get maybe more than 3/4 of the way before I thought, no, I'm sure I can see a torchlight, and back I came. So my thoughts on that are basically, you have to be extremely careful in these circumstances because you really don't know who's about. You don't know if it's just literally might just be a backpacker. I've met a backpacker out in those parts who was literally camping for the night and then clearing off, doing an epic walk of hundreds and hundreds of miles, stopping somewhere different in his tent every night. Then equally, it's not too far from the area where me and Gizmo stumbled across somebody who was under the influence of something that they probably shouldn't have been, who was flat out asleep on the pavements at the roadside, and I think all three of us were as startled as each other when we sort of all just emerged on top of each other. This chap pops up and was clearly aggressive, but luckily he was too far gone, too out of it to really be any sort of threat. So me and Gizmo just had a very, very stiff-paced walk and jog away from him. But again, the last thing you want is to be with or to stumble across or disturb somebody who might be aggressive, might not be thinking straight for one reason or another, and be in the middle of the dark woods in a true Blair Witch Project style situation. And so, as I say, all of the evidence now I'm thinking about it of the disturbed waterproof inflatable kayak potentially being laid out as a base for a bivvy bag or a sleeping bag or a tent. Obviously, 2 reflections on separate occasions in the same sort of minute or so, looking and observing without any animal eyes being lit up by the torch looking back at me. Definitely not an animal that disturbed the birds that alerted me and Gizmo in the first place. And then, like you say, I couldn't be sure that I saw torchlight the second time, but I would not be surprised, and I, again, wasn't going to take that risk. So yeah, I saw absolutely nothing wildlife-wise, and I potentially put myself in a dangerous situation, so that was a massive failure. Anyway, I really am just going to go to sleep in the next, once this video is edited and uploaded with an automatic publish moment, I'm just hopefully going to be asleep for a couple of hours. Thank you, my friends, for bearing with me and tuning in. Hopefully you've found this entertaining or enlightening or something. And I'll just say, check out my books if you want to help me out. Please do subscribe, check out my other videos. If you really want to help me out, consider being a channel member or a subscriber on Facebook or wherever you're watching this. And, well, until the next time, keep it interesting, keep it woods-worthy, have a fantastic day, and of course, my friends, farewell.